guys, and today I'm going to be making a video on gearing, specking, choosing your talents, and what glyphs and pets to use for challenge modes. So first off, I'm going to get off on your talent, or your spec, sorry. You're going to want to pick survival because it has the highest AoE damage and DPS for challenge modes. And the talents that I'm using are Crouching Tiger of the Hidden Chimera, which is reduces the cooldown of disengage by 10 seconds and deterrence by 60 seconds. So like you can deterrence every minute instead of I think it was like every 2 minutes. The next one, the level 30 talent I use is Binding Shot. Binding Shot is a good AoE stun because when your tank is kiting, say, a big trash pack, you're going to want to put that down and it will catch all the mobs and they'll be stunned for, I think, 10 seconds is what it says. 10 seconds, yeah. And then what I go with, a lot of people go with the aspect of the Iron Hawk, but what I go with is Spirit Bond, so I can get those self heals from my pet. Your level 60 talent is Dire Beast. I use Dire Beast because it adds extra DPS and damage overall. It's basically what it does is it summons a powerful wild beast to attack your target for 15 seconds. Each time the beast deals damage, you'll gain 5 focus. So you'll gain a big amount of focus over a short period of time, which is what you'll need to do like multi-shot and your main abilities. And then for 75, I use a Murder of Crows just because it adds that extra damage to a boss that you'll need. So you'll cast this on your burst, and it will do a significant amount of damage. And then for your last talent, I use Glaive Toss. Some people use Barrage, but Glaive Toss is best, I think, because you can use it every 15 seconds and it does a tons amount of damage. Yeah, and those are the glyphs that I use. For the next one, I use all healing glyphs, and I use Glyph of Liberation, which when you disengage heals you for 5% health. And then for my other glyph, I use Glyph of Animal Bond, so it heals me for 10% instead of I think 4 or 5%. So it's like double. And then for my last one, I use Glyph of Camouflage. Because if there's a, if you don't, say, have an invisibility potion up right away and you need to invis maybe past a couple of mobs, I would recommend getting this just as like a saving yourself type of glyph, just in case. And, yeah. And so I'm going to go to pets now. For pets, I use the hyena if you have like a bunch of melee, which isn't typically what you'll see in a challenge mode group. You'll see more spellcasters and range DPS. So if you wanted to help out your team a little bit, you would want to use the Spore Bat. Now the Spore Bat, he gives you a buff called Energizing Spores, which increases your spell haste increased by 5%, which is really good for your healers and your DPS. That's the pet that I run with the most. You can also do a wolf. A wolf, gives you 5% crit, and then the cat gives you a certain amount of mastery, which would be good for like a warrior and a warlock group, but I mostly stick with the Spore Bat. And now into the gear. The gear that I use, you'll all have more than 2 sockets for the main pieces, and then you'll want on your small pieces like your neck and your rings, you'll want 1 socket, but I'll go through the order. So the helmet that I'm using for these is actually the engineering helmet. It's called the Deadly Reinitial Armor, and you can make this at level 600, and it only cost me about 1,200 gold to make. What's so good about this is it has 3 slots, and so you have a meta and two cogwheels, And the cogwheels I use are 600 crit and 600 mastery, and then 216 agility with a 3% increase crit. For the neck, I use the necklace of the terracotta archer, which I got from TOT. It has one gem slot, which makes this really good because you need those gem slots for the extra DPS in C modes. For the shoulders, I'm using the Shoulders of the Unblinking Vigil from SOO. It has two gem slots, and you can use the Delicate Primordial Rubies for those, and the enchant, which is the 200 agility and 100 crit. Onto the back, I use the legendary. A lot of people use like a cloak that has one gem slot, but I think that having your three main stat priority is great. The only downside is that the proc does not work. Same with the helmet. You can't use the legendary gem either. So the legendary proc won't work, but the gem slot and enchant and all the stats will work. For the chest, I use Tunic of the Unblinking Vigil. It has 3 gem slots, and I use the 80 to all stats. And that's what makes this a really good piece, because it gives 3 gem slots. For your bracers, you're going to want beady-eyed bracers off Tordos in TOT, and it gives 1 gem slot, which makes it really good. And these are one of the more rare bracers to get because it has 1 gem slot. For the gloves, I used the Gloves of the Unblinking Vigil. It has 2 gem slots, and you can use like 170 mastery on your gloves, but I'm using expertise to cap out expertise right now. For your belt, you're going to want the Gorge Stalker belt. It has normally 2 sockets, but then you can put the Living Steel enchant on, and you can get this extra socket right here. For your pants, you're going to want the Conduit Breaker chain leggings, and those drop in TOT, and they have 3 gem slots, and the enchant I'm using is 285 agility and 165 crit. The boots that I'll be wearing for C modes are the Puddle Punishers, and it gives 1 gem slot and 1 enchant, but there's boots out there that have 2 gem slots, but I just haven't got those yet. And the best rings that you'll want are the Reality Ripper ring, which gives 1 gem slot, and also the Ring of Restless Energy. This ring, the Reality Ripper ring, drops off of the Shaw, or before Shaw, Nourishin, drops off Nourishin, and then the Ring of Restless Energy drops off Malkrok. The trinket that I use is Relic of Zune, which is a really good trinket because it gives you plus 956 agility, and then you can get this one from the Dark Moon Fair quest. I think you need the Ace through 8 Tiger cards, and so that cost me about 2,000 gold on my server to get, but that's really cheap compared to what people are selling it for, so go for the cards. The trinket that I'm using is the Assurance of Conquest, or Consequence. This drops off Shaw. You're gonna want to maybe find a better trinket, but since I haven't found one, like, I know the Alchemy Stone is really good, but, yeah, if you can't get the Alchemy Stone because you just don't have that profession, just use, like, a Siege trinket, or a TOT trinket. And the weapon, I'm using the Flexible Warbow. It gives the two gem enchant, or gem slots, and then your enchant. I know that you can add there's a bow that I think you can add a slot to, and I think it's the Durmuz Baleful Gaze, and you can add, I think it's from the legendary, you can add the slot to that.